الحمد لله وكفى وسلام على عباده الذين اصطفى أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إن الله لا يستحيي أن يضرب مثلا ما بعوضة فما فوقها فأما الذين آمنوا فيعلمون أنه الحق من ربهم وأما الذين كفروا فيقولون ماذا أراد الله بهذا مثلا يضل به كثيرا ويهدي به كثيرا وما يضل به إلا الفاسقين صدق الله العظيم. Ayat number 26 of Surat Baqarah. First the tarjuma, the translation of this ayah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us, إن الله لا يستحيي أن يضرب مثلا ما بعوضة فما فوقها. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He does not shy away from stating or giving an example of a mosquito, فَمَا فَوْقَهَا, or whatever is on top of it. This is the literal translation. فَأَمَّا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا فَيَعْلَمُونَ أَنَّهُ الْحَقُّ مِنْ رَبِّهِمْ. Then as for those who believe, they know that this is the truth from their Rabb. وَأَمَّا الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا فَيَقُولُونَ مَاذَا أَرَادَ اللَّهُ بِهَذَا مَثَلًا. As for those who disbelieve, they ask, what does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mean or intend by giving such an example? يُضِلُّ بِهِ كَثِيرًا وَيَهْدِي بِهِ كَثِيرًا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala misleads many by this type of example, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also guides many by this type of example. وَمَا يُضِلُّ بِهِ إِلَّا الْفَاسِقِينَ. And no one is misguided by these kind of examples except the fasiqeen, those who disobey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and are disobedient and indulge and involve in fisq, in open opposition to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His deen. This is the literal translation. There is a background to this ayah. In the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has stated quite a few examples using certain insects in those examples, and even naming surahs of the Quran after some of these insects. There's the example given of Al-Ankabut, the spider. This spider is such a creature that he builds a web. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives the example of the spider. كَمَثَلِ الْعَنْكَبُوتِ اتَّخَذَتْ بَيْتًا. And giving this example, there's very, very great wisdom behind it also. مَثَلُ الَّذِينَ اتَّخَذُوا مِن دُونِ اللَّهِ أَوْلِيَاءَ كَمَثَلِ الْعَنْكَبُوتِ اتَّخَذَتْ بَيْتًا. Example of those who take protectors other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Their example is like that of a spider that spins its web, makes its web. We will not go into the details of these examples, they're very, very deep. But inshallah, when we reach those ayat, we will go as deep as we can in those examples. The other, and even the name of the surah, Surah Al-Ankabut, is taken from that ayah. There is a mention of An-Namla or An-Naml, the ant. At the time of Sulaiman alayhi salam, there's a whole incident that happened around this ant. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala named the whole surah in the Quran after this insect. There is the example given of a fly. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives this example in the Quran as well, near the ending of Surat Al-Hajj. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala states a very, very beautiful and very important example. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Ya ayyuhan nas, duriba mathalun fastami'u la, O mankind, an example has been given for you, so listen very carefully to this example. إن الذين اتخذوا من دون الله أولياء إن الذين اتخذوا من دون الله أوثانا, that those idols you're taking for worship other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they cannot create a fly. لن يخلقوا ذبابا ولو اجتمعوا له. They cannot create one fly even if all of them get together to do it. Such a powerful statement. You might say in the 21st century we have cloning. I'm going into the details of this. Inshallah, if we get to that, I will go into the details of it. There's no time to go into that right now. With the cells of the fly manipulate very, very fast. You need a stable cell for cloning. I'm not going to get into the science of cloning right now. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, لَن يَخْلُقُوا ذُبَابًا وَلَوْ اجْتَمَعُوا لَهُ. They cannot create one fly even if they all get together. وَإِن يَسْلُبْهُمُ الذُّبَابُ شَيْئًا لَا يَسْتَنْقِذُوهُ مِنْهُ. If this fly snatches something from them, they can't even get it back. Say, well, I can kill the fly. The fastest digestive system in the system of the world that we know is the fly. Even if you kill this insect, it's amazing how fast it digests whatever it eats. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created this system. That is why you see flies go around areas where there's filth. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created this digestive system so they're not affected by any of the diseases that the filth may give off. We're not going to go into the tafseer of that now. So these examples are throughout the Quran that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives. They're very, very deep examples. They have very, very deep meaning. Coming to this ayah, ayat number 26 of Surah Al-Baqarah. Some of the kuffar or the disbelievers, they made this claim that how can this Quran be kalamullah? How can this Quran be the word of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? And in this Quran, you have these strange insects mentioned. Some of these insects are despicable, very annoying. You have the fly, you have these spider and these things mentioned. What kind of kalamullah is this? What kind of book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is this? Remember one thing, that the Quran, it is a book of hidayah and guidance. And it is full of miracles. In itself, it is a miracle, but it is full of miracles. This ayat, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He gave it a response. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave a response to those kuffar or disbelievers that made this claim that what kind of kalam is this? In this ayah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us, إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يَسْتَحْيِي أَن يَضْرِبَ مَثَلًا مَا بَعُودَةً فَمَا فَوْقَهَا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He's not shy, or He does not shy away from giving you an example, that of a mosquito, فَمَا فَوْقَهَا, or that which is on top of it. Literal translation. This ayat is coming, if you open the Quran and you start reading from the beginning of the Quran, this is one of the first ayat that goes into science. And there are many, many unique ayat in the Quran where there are scientific facts. Remember, the Quran is full of scientific facts, not theories. There are many theories in science that have yet to be proven. The Quran is full of facts. This ayah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says He doesn't shy away from giving the example of a mosquito, فَمَا فَوْقَهَا, or that which is on top of it. First we'll explain this example. Then we'll go into what this example is talking about. The mosquito, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created this creature that it sucks human blood. We don't need to go into the details of it. We're all familiar with it. It is a very annoying creature. Some parts of the world you can't even sleep because of it. Difficult to even use the restroom. They're buzzing around. And they bite you, they take your blood. And not only that, they leave behind some mark after they take your blood. Some of them carry diseases. They can cause very, very severe different types of diseases. And they can cause harm to the human being. In essence, they're very weak. You're very easy to kill them. In fact, they don't even fly that fast. Much faster than them is the fly. You can easily kill a mosquito. It's not that difficult. But they do suck human blood. And they suck the blood of other creatures also. But that's their main source of food. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives this example. Then He says, فَمَا فَوْقَهَا. We're not afraid to give you or shy to give you the example of a mosquito or that which is on top of it. 1400 years ago this statement was made. In 1922 they were researching this mosquito back in India, and what they did is they put one of the cows and they were able to catch the mosquitoes in the summertime. They took them to the labs. They found out that there is a blood-sucking parasite that sucks blood from the mosquito. And it sucks the blood coming on top of the mosquito. So this creature is such a creature, they call it the midge. It's a blood-sucking parasite. And it doesn't suck the blood of any other creature except the mosquito. And it sucks the blood of that mosquito, which sucks the blood of the human being or some other animal, and that blood is fresh. So when the mosquito is feeding, then this blood-sucking parasite can sense that this is fresh blood, and it goes after that mosquito. And it latches onto the mosquito, it sits right on top of the mosquito when it is feeding. The Quran mentioned فَمَا فَوْقَهَا 1400 years ago. This creature in size, if you were to compare the size to a human being, it is like the size of a plate to a human being. So this creature to a mosquito is like a plate to a human being. It's also very, very, very small. But not only this, when this creature gets on top of this mosquito, it sits on top of this mosquito, it latches on so powerfully that its jaws are so powerful when it latches on. And when the scientists were looking in the microscope and watching this creature, it started sucking the blood from this mosquito almost to the point where the mosquito died. Very close to death. There was no blood left in this mosquito. Then the creature tried to get off. But it was latched on so strong, it was like as if it was like the roof of a building. It had to literally spin, do a 180 on the mosquito, and literally had to peel itself off of the mosquito. This is how powerfully it latches on. When something is on top of something, sometimes it's so strong, it's difficult to take off. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala uses the word fawq, something right on top of the mosquito that is latched on so strong, it's very difficult to take it off. So scientists were surprised that there is a creature, a blood-sucking parasite living on top of a mosquito, lives off of the mosquito also. So they did the research the second day, tried it again, same experiment, they found the same creature, this blood-sucking parasite. It's amazing how the Quran has mentioned this 1400 years ago. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us that He is not shy to give this example. What kind of example is this? If we go into the siyaq and sabaq, if we go into the context of these ayat that we're reading, and you go back to the beginning of the surah, Surat al-Baqarah, there were three major categories of human beings mentioned, and we've gone over this multiple times. You have the believers, you have the disbelievers, and you have the munafiqeen, the hypocrites. The example of a hypocrite is that he is always trying to look for his own mafadat, his own benefits. And his nature is such that wherever he sees benefit, he latches on. He's like this mosquito, They try to suck benefit from anyone they can get benefit from. If they see that the believers are benefiting, so they'll latch on to the believers, make themselves a believer, and they'll try to take whatever benefit they can. Some of them have very, very evil qualities. They even destroy the person that they latch on to. If they see that the disbelievers are benefiting, so they'll go and attach themselves to the disbelievers. They have no loyalty to anyone. In reality, in their hearts, they have this level of jealousy and this level of hatred. All they care about is their own benefit. They're very, very selfish. And wherever they can find their benefit, that's where they go. So their example is like a mosquito. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in this ayah, ayat number 26, is telling us that He has created a system in this universe. And His system is such that anyone that has this quality of nifaq, of hypocrisy, so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created a system and conditions that though it may seem they are taking benefit from others, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created conditions that will suck all that benefit out of their life. Just like the blood-sucking parasite sucks everything out of the mosquito. So this example in essence is an example about the munafiqeen or the hypocrites. That they are like a mosquito that sucks blood. They try to look for their benefit from anyone they can and exploit anyone or anything that they can. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created a system even for the mosquitoes that even they're not safe. Why? Because they're sucking blood and they're taking benefit from other creatures. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created a creation that deals with the mosquitoes. But He has also created a creation that will deal with the munafiq or the hypocrite. And this is a message for the believers that don't ever worry about someone trying to be cunning with you or take advantage of you. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created a system that in the end, this person who's taking advantage of you, he will also be destroyed. We have a saying, Kama tudinu tudad. It's an Arabic saying. We say in English, what goes around comes around. And there's so many ways to say this saying. So this is a common rule system in this universe that as you do, you shall be dealt with. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created this system in this universe. وَلَن تَجِدَ لِسُنَّةِ اللَّهِ تَبْدِيلًا وَلَن تَجِدَ لِسُنَّةِ اللَّهِ تَحْوِيلًا. You'll never find any change in the system that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created. So those who try to be cunning and who try to exploit other people, in the end, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will bring such conditions. It may be some people, it may be certain conditions, that those conditions or those people end up exploiting them. And they'll be ruined. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us in the next jumla, the next sentence of this ayah, فَأَمَّا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا فَيَعْلَمُونَ أَنَّهُ الْحَقُّ مِنْ رَبِّهِمْ. Then as for those who believe, and who are believers, they know that this Quran is a haqq from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It is the ultimate truth from their Rabb. Which means the believers, they're not afraid, or they should never fear the munafiqeen or the hypocrites, or they should never ever fear those kind of people who are trying to exploit them or take advantage of them. They should know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has already created a system to deal with them, to deal with those people. So they should have this yaqeen, فَيَعْلَمُونَ here, this knowing, meaning they should have this yaqeen or this conviction that this Quran is a haqq from their Rabb, it is a truth from their Rabb, and this formula is an established formula in this universe. First and foremost, we should never ever become munafiq or hypocrite. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala save us from that. And even the munafiq himself, though he may be exploiting other people, this quality of nifaq, this quality of hypocrisy in their heart, this is also that blood-sucking parasite. This person will never be able to find happiness. It will suck out any kind of benefit in his life, any kind of happiness in their life. So the mu'min or the believer, he should know that this is an established system in this universe. وَأَمَّا الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا فَيَقُولُونَ مَاذَا أَرَادَ اللَّهُ بِهَذَا مَثَلًا. That's for the disbelievers. They're always asking, what does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mean by this kind of example? The kafir or the disbeliever is very narrow-sighted. You see how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is mentioning, in this ayah, the believer is mentioned and the kafir is mentioned. But the munafiq is not mentioned by name. Why? Because the munafiq is referred to as a mosquito. You got it? Okay. وَأَمَّا الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا. As for the kafir or the disbeliever, فَيَقُولُونَ مَاذَا أَرَادَ اللَّهُ بِهَذَا مَثَلًا. He says, what does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mean by this kind of example? Because the kafir is very narrow-sighted. Yes, in the immediate time frame, you may find the munafiq or the hypocrite doing this exploitation, and he may have benefit in the immediate time. But in the long run, you will see that they've done nothing. They're never successful in their life. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala takes the barakah out of their life. So the kafir doesn't see what happens in the long run of this kind of Ponzi scheme or this kind of exploitation that the munafiq is doing or seeking. That in the end, the kafir is trying to find why in this immediate time nothing is happening. So he's trying to always judge or doubt this Quran or this kalam of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So he's asking, what does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mean by this kind of example? And even if you try to explain this example to a kafir or disbeliever, he may say, no, 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 no. You see, there are people who have exploited others and they have gone so much benefit. And they've done this and they've done that. They've gotten to such levels. They may give you certain examples where even in our current time, and it's not good to go into those details, there are some people who may be in very high levels of authority that have exploited so many people and they've gotten there. Yes, but you'll find that they won't have any kind of respect. And in the end, what goes around comes around. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, the kafir, he may not even see this. And he may even doubt these kind of examples. And he may be asking, why does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give such strange examples of these kind of creatures in the Quran? So this is the miracle of the Quran, that this kind of example was given 1400 years ago about a creature that feeds off of a mosquito. And science at that time had not gone to the level that it has gone today, where they're able to find these kind of parasites through telescopes and whatever other ways. As I mentioned, in 1922, they were able to find, hardly 100 years ago, they were able to find this creature that latches onto the mosquito. So this is a miracle of the Quran. The first, this blood-sucking creature is mentioned, this blood-sucking parasite. It is mentioned in the Quran. On top of that, the example and the beautiful way that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is giving this example for us to understand. A very, very great message for the believers and the mu'mineen. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, يُضِلُّ بِهِ كَثِيرًا. There are many people who are misled because of this kind of example. And this is in continuation of what the kuffar and disbelievers are saying. That they ask, what does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mean by this example? So it's very difficult for them to see the outcome or the wisdom behind these kind of examples. So they are misled. They try to apply their logic, they try to apply whatever they apply. And in the end, they cannot understand the wisdom behind such beautiful examples. So they are misled. يُضِلُّ بِهِ كَثِيرًا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He allows many people to be misled by these kind of examples. وَيَهْدِي بِهِ كَثِيرًا. But there are many, many believers also who are guided because of these kind of examples. They're guided on how to protect themselves. And even if they are hurt and they're taken advantage of, then they have this solace, this comfort that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created such a system that in the end, those people who have taken advantage of them, they will suffer. Yes, you may harm someone so much only. In the end, that person you are harming, once they come to their senses and they detach themselves from you, they remove themselves from you, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give them success again. But for the person who has done that exploitation, what do you think will happen to them? Sometimes we think they're in peace. Remember, that person who goes around exploiting others, they have no peace. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala removes that peace of mind from them. So these kind of examples become a means of guidance and hidayah for the believers, and a system towards which the believer can have solace if he is exploited, but also can have a system to protect himself from such exploitation. وَمَا يُضِلُّ بِهِ إِلَّا الْفَاسِقِينَ. And no one is misguided or no one goes astray by these kind of examples, إِلَّا الْفَاسِقِينَ, except those who are fasiqeen. And who are the fasiqeen? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the coming ayat gives us the qualities of those who are fasiqeen. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give all of us the tawfiq to practice His deen. وَمَا عَلَيْنَا إِلَّا الْبَلَاغُ. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيد المرسلين وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم. اللهم نور قلوبنا بالقرآن وزين أخلاقنا بالقرآن ونجنا من النار بالقرآن وادخلنا في الجنة بالقرآن. اللهم اجعل القرآن لنا في الدنيا قرينا وفي القبر مؤنسا وعلى الصراط نورا وفي الجنة رفيقا ومن النار سترا وحجابا. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين.